Good day, I'm Jaylin Pantas from BM601, and the case study is entitled Don't Let Her Get Behind You. So I will read the case first. Don't let her get behind you. Betty Rolander is the supervisor of the Secretarial Support Unit in Monumental Services Corporation. Her unit's main responsibility is to provide secretarial support to the three groups making up the Administrative Support Division, the Property Services, Purchasing, and the Auditing departments. So as you can see in the presentation, that is the organizational chart. Betty supervises four secretaries in the unit, and during her first year as a supervisor, she had to face a major personal problem in the form of Linesha Jackson. Linesha, 28, has been with Monumental for almost 6 years, holding various clerical and secretarial positions during her career there. Lanisha has a bad attitude problem, and that drove Betty crazy. Lanisha is arrogant, inconsiderate, and argumentative when dealing with other people. She even snaps and becomes very defensive when Betty notes some problems and errors with her work. Betty found out that Lanisha's attitude has always been an issue. The previous bosses had written complaints about her poor ways of dealing with people. However, the organization never did anything about it. Betty assumes that Lenicia's attitude to results from the company's reorganization that led to Betty's promotion. Before the reorganization, Lenicia was under Helen Mahan's supervision. Lenicia and Helen got along, and Lenicia has become a loyal and devoted follower of Helen. However, Helen was reassigned as a manager of a new department, and Betty found out that Lenicia applied for the supervisory job but was turned down. One afternoon, Betty received a complaint from Neil Coleman, the vice president in Monumental's operations division. The issue was Denisia's rude attitude toward Coleman's secretary Miriam. According to Coleman, Lenicia insulted and argued with Miriam over the phone. Betty decided to talk to Lenicia to discuss the subject matter. Upon discussing the problem, Lenicia snapped at Betty, telling her she is the real problem and has a bad attitude. Betty was surprised to Lenicia's remark but continued to explain what Mr. Coleman said and why Lenicia has to improve her phone manner. Lenicia kept on denying the allegation and argued with her boss for more minutes. The discussion ended without any firm decision. After the confrontation, Lenisha has become more rude and hostile toward Betty. Lenisha has started talking about Betty behind her back, saying that Betty's ability as a supervisor is poor and that she's always away from her desk. Lenisha even complained Betty to her former boss, Helen. The complaint made Helen give Betty a friendly advice to stay closer to her desk. Betty followed the advice hesitantly and limited her work to her desk area. That went on for weeks until Jerry Corder asked Betty's department for support. Part of Betty's job is to support and serve Jerry's Corder auditing department. However, Betty told Corder that she could not help him anymore because of complaints about her being away from her desk too much. Corder couldn't believe what he had heard and marched into Bud Fuller's office with Betty in tow. Fuller listened to Corder's complaint and then asked Betty to explain. She told everything to Fuller, from Lenicia's bad attitude toward her, her complaints, and Helen's advice. The meeting happened on a Thursday afternoon. After the said meeting, Bud Fuller gathered the managers and staff in the Administrative Services Division and made the following announcement. 1. Betty Rolander and her staff no longer report to Helen Mahan but directly to Bud Fuller. 2. Betty is the supervisor in charge of the unit and she is not away from her desk too much. 3. If there are problems with Betty, they should be brought first to Betty's attention, and if that is not satisfactory, then to Fuller. Helen and Lenicia were shocked by the announcements. Lenicia seemed to improve for a week or two, but started to criticize Betty again. During this time, Betty summoned Lenicia to train the floater secretary who would sit in for Lenicia for her upcoming vacation. Lenicia agreed and committed that she can finish the training quickly, but had not trained the floater by the end of the week. Learning this, Betty canceled Lenicia's vacation leave because she did not prepare her replacement as directed, but gave Lenicia the chance to regain her vacation if she could train the replacement in the week before her scheduled vacation. Lenicia eventually did what was told, but did it fairly. During that week, Betty received permission from Bud Fuller to give Lenicia a written disciplinary notice.
Is Krisha George and I will answer the question, what are the issues mentioned in the case? The issue mentioned in the case study is the rude and abusive behavior of Linesha towards Betty and other employees in the organization. She is arrogant, inconsiderate, and argumentative when dealing with others. Aside from that, the management is incapable of handling Linesha's attitude problem. There were insubordination issues in the mentioned case. For example, the insubordination act of Linesha towards Betty. There was an insubordination issue because even though Linesha understood that the instructions that she would train the floater secretary and did not refuse to do the task. She even agreed to and committed that she could finish the training quickly. However, she never trained the floater secretary who will sit in for her upcoming vacation leave. She only trained the floater secretary after Betty canceled her vacation and gave her another chance. Moreover, Lina Shai is constantly disrespecting Betty, knowing that Betty is the supervisor of secretarial support.
Good day, everyone. I'm Hannah Lane Argarin. Question number two is, if you're Betty, how would you have responded to the complaint of Neil Coleman about Linisha? If I were Betty, my first doing is to apologize Mr. Coleman and tell him that I would address the problem immediately and work some solution so that Linisha and Miriam formally resolve the problem. And I will get also both sides of their story and see who is really telling the truth or making up the story. And after that, I will take some action and see who is lying. And I found out that Linisha is wrong. So I will formally file a grievance complaint about her bad attitude. And I will also make sure that she pays the consequence or the punishment of what she doing to the others. And that's all. Thank you.
I'm Jaylin Pantas for question number 3. Are Linicia's actions and treatment toward Betty considered insubordination? List all the reasons that might fall under insubordination. To answer this question, yes, Linicia's action and treatment toward Betty are considered insubordination. Because when we say insubordination, it means that there is a direct or indirect refusal by an employee to perform a legal, ethical, and reasonable directive from a manager or supervisor when the directive has been clearly understood or acknowledged. However, there are some part that is not clearly stated in the case whether Linicia understood and acknowledged all the reprimands that Betty tells her. Also, Linisha is not hesitating about the tasks that were assigned to her, meaning to say that not all her actions can be considered insubordination, but there are still lapses to it, which can possibly be considered forms of insubordination. So, what are those reasons that might fall under insubordination? First, Linisha agreed to committedly train the floater secretary before her departure for a vacation leave. However, there was no progress by the end of the week. So this action is considered as insubordination because Linisha understood the task, however, she failed to accomplish it. Second, Linisha complains about her supervisor Betty without telling Betty about it. So this can be considered as a future cause of insubordination because Linisha goes against the rules of authority mandates. Third, despite the reprimands that Betty utters, Linisha stayed the same and even gone worse since she is claiming that Betty is an ineffective leader. So last, of course, there is insubordination because there is insults, mockery, and gossip behind Betty's back that can be considered accompaniments of insubordination. However, these claims cannot be all truth since Betty only knew about it through word of mouth or hearsay because she did not personally notify or ask Linsha about the issue.